Well, welcome to Property Perspectives. I'm your host, JG Kemp. We're going to embark on an exciting journey through the world of real estate and life. Each week, we are going to explore property ownership, investment strategies, and their impact on life. Okay, we're going to get ready for an exhilarating ride and discoveries and fun. Come join us. This week, we have Sonia Medina. Hello.
Hi, Jay. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is an executive manager at AAA Insurance. She has her own office in New Britain on West Main Street. Am I wrong?
Yes, 982 West Main. Yeah.
All right. You want to tell us exactly what you do?
Well, I'm an insurance agent there, an executive insurance agent there. This is the first insurance-only location in Connecticut. And we do all kinds of insurance: auto, home, life, home warranty, pet insurance.
Pet insurance?
Small business insurance. Yes, we do.
Right. So when you say insurance only, what does that mean?
So we have, AAA is known for its locations offering membership product, towing services, travel, passport, license renewals, right? In this location, we only help with insurance products and memberships. So we don't do license renewals, although we can give a little guidance and help people go to the right office when they're there. But we are insurance only.
Mm-hmm. And
we are insurance at AAA.
We are insurance, and they have, like I was thinking, when you're talking off camera, have been some of the best quotes that I've been getting for a lot of my clients years as of lately. Years ago, not so much, right? And how are they able to give the best prices nowadays?
Well, thankfully, we have a lot of different carriers that we work with. We have different companies that we can place the customer where it's best for them. So because insurance is going to be based on who we're insuring, what we're insuring, and where we're insuring it, different companies are going to be competitive in some areas and maybe not in others. So we have the advantage of working with different companies so that we can find the best policy for the customer at the most competitive rate.
Got it. So thank you for coming. Came during lunch. What does an average day look like for Miss Medina?
I'm thankfully very busy. Our office is very busy. I have Jashira at the office as well. She's bilingual, very helpful. We have people coming in all day long for different things. As I mentioned, they still walk in asking for services that we can't help with. We still guide them and we still tell them what we're here for. And I also have a lot of business coming via email, people calling me, people like yourself asking for me to help with their client, right? Someone buying a new home and they need options. So my business is coming from mostly referrals, my existing customer base that I built over the last 21 years, the people that I know, networking. It's just very natural.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. How do you get your business? When you first started out, how did you start getting business?
With my family and friends.
Right.
And, meet this person, meet that person. One person introduced me to their friend, right? You should meet this person. They're a realtor or they're a lender. And it just grew from there. I think it grew without me realizing it, and just staying in the business for as long as I have, it just continued to expand. I think the most important part is I do prioritize all my clients. If someone is sending me their customer and they're telling me we need to close on this right away, then I will prioritize it. And you may find me working at 7 or 8 p.m. at night, but if that customer is important to you, it's important to me.
So I gotta say, being in the field, dealing with different insurance agents, you are very responsive. Like I've had questions and you actually respond. You respond yourself instead of somebody in the company. You're very easy to get along and ask questions to, right? So that's something that is probably why you're getting a lot of referrals.
Right. And that can be a little challenging, to be honest. Sometimes I try to respond as fast as I can. We're all human beings, right? Sometimes I may be at a meeting and I can't respond right away. I thankfully have, people in the office that help me. Jashira, for example, if somebody needs something right away, I'm here today. If someone wants to text me and says, hey, I'm at the dealership picking up a new car, I will guide them over to Jashira or our customer service department for something much quicker. So sometimes I do have to designate who's going to help them, but I'm still the one responding.
Got it. So what made you guys go to New Britain?
So we were looking at, our company did a great job looking at the population and where the office would fit best for the community we want to serve. And because it's a bilingual office and I speak Spanish, we also had to keep in mind that we couldn't have two AAAs in the same town.
Okay.
Yes, so it was pretty central. New Britain is close to a lot of major highways. We have a high population of Hispanic community there, but it's also close to the other communities such as Hartford, Bristol, Plainville. So it was a mix of not being in the same town as another AAA, but also being in a community where I can cater to.
So the next AAA will be Hartford?
We don't know yet. We're working on that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as a bilingual insurance agent, how do you navigate the unique needs and concerns of the Hispanic community when it comes to insurance?
Very easy. I am part of the community. I am the community. I'm them. I understand the needs. I understand what the community needs. I think that there's always been a misconception that sometimes they don't have the right protection. They just didn't have the right guidance. They didn't have the right person helping them make the best decision. So it's just really easy to make sure that I am helping the community find the best protection. And it just requires educating them, informing them, and helping them make a decision based on that education and that information that I'm giving them, not expecting them to know what they didn't go to school for.
Right. So, we were talking about homeowners insurance policies and how, let's say, like the water heater might go or the furnace might go, and people have a misconception thinking that the insurance might cover that, right?
Right.
And you were saying that you are offering a new product, home warranties.
Right.
Right. And I've never heard you bring that up, but it's something new. Well, why don't the insurance agency cover furnaces and stuff like that?
So basically, this is, it's a great question. So home warranties are not new in the world. It's just new for us as an agency. We decided that this is a great product to add to our portfolio and continue to help our customers have the best protection. Homes technically have three types of insurance. And the reason for that is because one doesn't cover one thing, so the other one does. And I say three, but one of them is you don't really need it. So home insurance, the one we all know, right? You buy a house, you're required to have the home insurance. It's for accidental, unexpected events.
Right.
Fire, pipes freezing, water everywhere, tree falling on the house, right? These are the unexpected events, and that's what home insurance is there for. Then we have endorsements that you can add to that, right? Making sure you have additional protection, like for buried utility lines. This is your lines that run from the house, water, sewer, to the town. That could be about $8,000 to $10,000 cost if it ever needed to be fixed.
Right.
So those are endorsements that we add on the policy. But again, these are accidental. It happens for an accidental reason.
Right.
Special equipment that can also be added. These are all very low cost endorsements, by the way, not expensive to add. If your furnace mechanically fails, then it's covered if you have that coverage. But then we've got maintenance. So think about it this way, right? Your car, if your transmission goes, if your motor goes, you don't go to your insurance company because that was a maintenance issue, right? You go to your warranty if you have one.
Okay.
So it's the same with the home. The furnace, the central air, it's kind of like that transmission and the motor.
Right, good explanation.
So the home warranty kicks in there. If you have a home warranty, that's where that comes in. If your water heater is now 15, 20 years old and you need it replaced, the home warranty will then cover it because the home insurance does not. So the best way to think about it, this is just the easiest way. Home insurance covers what we don't expect to happen, and home warranty covers what we do expect to happen.
Oh, that's a great explanation. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. See, that's great. Roofs. How does that work with insurance versus warranty?
So roof is never covered under anything. So there is no home warranty for that. There is no home insurance for that unless a tree fell on the house.
Now, why is that?
Because it's a maintenance thing, right? If your roof is 20, 30 years old and it's just time to replace it, it's very similar to the siding. The home warranty was created for appliances, for systems. It wasn't created for the physical aspect of the home.
Got it. Okay, so policies, you just mentioned something about endorsements. Might be a crazy question. How many different endorsements do you think come with a homeowner's policy?
Oh my God. There's endorsements that are already included in the policy, such as, your personal property would be covered as a replacement instead of actual cash value. Water backup is one that is included at, in some cases, $5,000 to $10,000, but you can endorse it to be higher. But as far as adding more endorsement, there could be about 10 to 15 additional endorsements, right? Some of them are already covered under something else. There's identity theft, for example. Most people will not use their home insurance for identity theft because there's other types of protection for that now under credit cards. People who are AAA members, by the way, can get that for free as well for identity protection. So most people don't use their home insurance for that. But there are about another 10 to 15 that you can add. Those two that I mentioned, though, the utility breakdown and the utility lines and the equipment breakdown, those two are optional. We just started offering them, or most companies actually started offering them about 2 to 3 years ago. With me, I'm just putting them in there. They're so inexpensive. I just would not do a good service to my client if I'm not adding them. And then the people who didn't have the opportunity to have that, as their policies are renewing and they're calling me, I'm mentioning that and adding it.
I think that's great because not so much anymore because I'm a listing agent more so now than a buyer agent, but I've heard of buyers having home inspections, and the home inspector puts a little telescope through the pipes, and they see a tree branch, a root growing through the pipe. So you'd cover something like that.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. So that's excellent.
If they have the endorsement.
If they have the endorsement.
Yes.
Right. So what do people just call all day, email, walk in?
People walk in, they call. Most of my business personally comes from realtor, lender, friends, family, or my existing clients. And I find that people who are buying a house for the first time, they need the most education because in general, right, the whole process, the realtor explains to them the process, the lender explains the financial aspect of it. So as the insurance agent, I talk about the protection, what they don't know what to ask. If it's their first time buying a house, that means it's also their first time buying home insurance.
Right.
So I make sure to go through each coverage and I use examples as I'm walking them through it. And most of the time I'm answering questions they didn't even know they had to ask.
Right. A lot of people don't know. They're just buying a home for the first time.
Exactly.
So you're educating them doing that.
Right. And that shouldn't be your job. Your job is to find them the right home. Your job should not be to explain insurance coverage, right? That should be my job.
Yeah, I don't think professionally I would do that anyway.
Right. But sometimes they expect it.
Well, they expect you to know the process.
Right.
They definitely expect you to know the process. I think for me, because I've been doing this for 21 years, I think it's easier to just let them know that when you're a professional, this is what you do, right? I'm going to send you over there. I'm not going to try to explain that job, but I have somebody good I can refer to you.
Right.
I think that's giving a better customer service than you trying to explain the whole process. So can you share with us any specific challenges or misconceptions you've encountered while educating Hispanic clients about insurance options?
Well, having the best protection is important, right? People think that if they're buying, I should say most people are just kind of trained to buying with their pocket, right? Buying something that is less expensive,
right,
something they feel they can afford. And that is important. We want to make sure we're still saving money, but we want to make sure is that you have the best protection for your situation. If you have low limits on your auto policy and you have an at-fault accident and somebody's suing you and you don't have the right limits, the company's only going to pay up to what you purchased. If you purchased $25,000, that's all they're going to pay, not 1 penny more. But if this person has injuries of $50,000, guess where the other $25,000 is coming from, right? If you have a home, it's coming from either the equity or they make you sell the house, but it's coming from somewhere. It can come from your savings account. Some people say, well, I don't have a home. No, but if you have a job, they can garnish your wages. So somebody has to pay for that. And that's why it's important to have the best protection. So misconception is people think I have insurance, and they're just going to pay anything if I have an accident, and they're not. They're only going to pay up to what you bought.
Right, which is a good point. So I had a pipe burst last year during the cold weather we had last February. I think you probably had a lot of claims that day.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it happened. And the thing that I thought was, I just didn't know. So they ended up paying out the claim, right? They actually went after the plumber though, for what the plumber, I guess, didn't see or did see.
Did you have recent work done to the house, and that's why they could have gone?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Right? Great question.
Yeah.
What you're talking about. So I did have the plumber come over like the night before to make sure everything was running correctly. And I mentioned that. And as soon as they paid out, they asked for the plumber's information.
Right.
The plumber had to pay. Their insurance, I believe.
Yes, and this is why it's important if somebody's going to do work on your home to make sure they have insurance, right? It's if let's say it was a situation where no work had been done recently, still they would pay. They didn't have to go after anyone. Accidents happen. So pipes freezing, water everywhere. Yes, we cover that. The reason they have to sometimes go after someone is if work was done recently, they need to make sure that job was done properly, because if it wasn't, it means that's why there was damage.
Got it. There's a lot of different things with insurance that you didn't know about, especially when you come from a background where everybody didn't own houses at one point, right?
Exactly.
Right. That's where you come in, you're able to explain in layman's terms, how the insurance is going to go. Given your experience, what advice would you give to individuals of the community who may be navigating the insurance market for the first time?
Do your research, right? I mean, we have so much at our fingertips. We have internet, right? And search the information, get educated, and know that having the proper protection is the best way to go, right? It's okay to pay a little bit more to make sure that things are going to be covered. If you're buying a policy, make sure you're asking all the questions, scenarios. Hey, what if this happens? What if that happens? Also, you can ask the agent, how long have you been doing this? Are you an agent or are you a representative? There's a difference. If you're calling a 1-800 number, sometimes there are representatives that are allowed to sell policies. And you just want to make sure you know who you're working with, how long have they been in business. But at the same time, make sure you know the exclusions, right? I always say there's going to be exclusions everywhere. Those are not going anywhere, but at least know what they are. And if there's a way to have that removed, can I do something? Can I buy something to make sure that exclusion is covered somewhere? So that's important to just kind of read through. There's a lot of information on these policy packets. Go right to the exclusions and see where are you not getting coverage and is there going to be an option? Now, it's true that sometimes there are not going to be coverages for everything. That's just how it is everywhere. And just educating yourself is the most important advice that I can give someone, and know who you're working with. And make sure you're working with someone that is willing to give you their time, that is talking to you and not just trying to push you out the door.
Right. The right type of insurance. And they did. And thank God that they did.
Yes. So this young man, about 4 or 5 years ago, buys his first home. Always, he seems to be a very open young man wanting to make the right decision. Obviously, he's making the right decision already by buying a home. Right. And I asked him to let me quote his autos. I noticed that his previous auto policy had the minimum $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident minimum limit that is available in the state, and that's what he had. So I counseled him. He was very open to the idea about having better protection and having $100,000 per person, $300,000 total on his auto policy. So he buys the whole package. A few months later, he calls me because he thinks he's in trouble. He's helping his dad. His dad was staying with him for a few days. And his dad in the middle of the night decides to take his car without permission and finds out that his dad has an accident, at-fault accident. He did hit a motorcyclist. So when a motorcyclist is hit, there's not a lot of protection versus someone who's inside a car. And, of course, he was afraid. He goes, am I in trouble? I don't know what to do. And I said, well, the good thing is you don't have the limits you had before you came to me. You have better protection. So your house is now better protected. He was very concerned because he just bought this house. And he listened to me. He heard what I had to say, and he took the information I gave him and made the best decision. So thankfully, although we had to pay out on the claim, he didn't have to worry about his house being a part of that lawsuit.
So does somebody have to worry about losing their insurance if they put in the claim?
They can sometimes. So what happens at renewal is the company, depending on the situation, can decide not to renew the policy. In some cases, you can run the risk of not having the claim paid at all. And that is when you're not disclosing drivers or allowing people to drive your vehicle when they're not even licensed. And I have seen that. I have customers that have been declined of having a claim paid because the person who was driving, number one, was not disclosed, and number two, turns out that they're not licensed. So the companies are able to make that choice. They're private companies, and they can make the choice, because when you're buying an insurance policy, that's a contract. You're telling the company, this is how many cars I have, this is how many drivers I have, right? If you're not disclosing something, then it's almost like lying to the company. So it's misinforming can also affect if they're going to pay out on a claim or not.
Right, which makes sense, right? You should be honest. Because if you need it, they're there for you when you need it. Do insurance companies use credit scores as a reason to accept you?
Indirectly, so we use insurance scores. There's a company called LexisNexis that most insurance companies report to and from. And LexisNexis gathers a lot of information, including credit scores. We don't pull anyone's credit. I actually have never asked for anyone's social security number. So it's what's kind of called a soft hit, where we are checking scores. So we are basing it off their insurance scores. So all this data that comes back to us from behind the scenes, we call it an insurance score. And that can certainly affect their rate, whether it's going to be higher or lower. Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. I've heard of that years ago. That plays a role, but I never knew because nobody ever asked for my social security. That they play that. They pull your credit. It's a soft hit. So when AAA opened up the office in New Britain, it was intended on being a bilingual office?
Yes.
That was the intention.
The intention was it was to be an insurance-only location for the community in the Hispanic community, bilingual, because I speak Spanish, and it was to cater better to the community, right? We are the only office in Connecticut that you walk in and the wall has Spanish-speaking signage.
It does, right?
Yes,
that's great.
Yeah. And we are hoping, yes, New Britain also has a large Polish community, so we are hoping to extend it to the Polish community when we find the right person that is bilingual in Polish as well. So we're not just going to cater to one community, we want to cater to all the communities that need us.
Yeah, that's great. But like you said, you're bilingual, so it can go either way.
Right.
New Britain does have a big Polish community.
Yeah, both. It's almost equal, actually.
Yeah, it's
Hispanic
almost equal?
and Polish,
really?
yes.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
New Britain has a street on our street, it's called Barrio Latino.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. And then Broad Street, I believe, is Little Poland.
So, the Hispanic community is just growing, by the day. You got a lot of Hispanic towns like Waterbury, Willimantic.
In East Hartford as well.
East Hartford.
Yeah, Hartford.
Hartford, so yeah, you definitely need to cater to the needs. And New Britain the economy in New Britain just seems to keep going up every year.
Yeah, the mayor is doing a really good job bringing in new businesses.
Everybody says that. It's a lady,
the
right?
buildings, yeah.
Yeah, everybody says that she's doing a great job. They love her.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, they love her. You meet her? You met her?
I have. Erin is an excellent human being. She's funny.
Yeah.
Down to earth.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if you ever have a moment to talk to her, she's a great personality.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
see her on TV.
No, she is. She's amazing.
Is the baseball team still out there?
Yes, it's the Bees now.
The Bees, okay. They play the Argos? You don't know?
No, they don't. It's a different league.
Oh, different league.
Yeah.
I know it was a big
the
thing.
Argos is a minor league, yeah.
I know it was a big thing out there. guys like sponsor the high school team and all that stuff?
We don't. I actually personally sponsor Los Amigos Softball League here in Hartford, Connecticut. They're the biggest softball league in Connecticut.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you sponsor.
Yes.
Your office.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned something earlier about you do your own marketing.
I do. AAA has its own marketing, of course, in a big way, but they allow me to locally market if I need to, as long as I maintain the logo. I can't make changes to the logo, of course. It's AAA's logo, but I could certainly, if I want to put my ad in the newspaper, if I want to put my ad in a restaurant or sponsor, for example, like the softball league, they do allow me to do that.
So what's a great way for you to market nowadays, you think? Because marketing is different now.
I'm sorry?
Media. What's a great way for you to market nowadays that you use?
Social media is always, I think now is going to be the best, right? Informing the community through social media. I think everybody's attention span has now kind of decreased a little bit, so you don't want to put too much out there that you can have someone's attention for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then you may lose them. So you want to get the point across in small bits. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I love doing TikTok.
You do?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
And people like it. I spent a few weeks focusing on some other things that I just didn't have time, and people reached out and said, hey, you haven't uploaded any videos. So they like it.
You never know.
Yeah, they like it.
Yeah, you never know. I was saying, I'm not a big social media guy. I'm on social media a lot because of business. But me personally, my personal self, kind of stays away from that. But the way things are going, you need that.
Yes, people like to see funny things and just kind of clear their mind. But if you can throw in a little education piece in there, it really helps.
It does.
I think also something that is very helpful is just being part of the community, helping, volunteering, and also sponsoring. And this is a way to also help each other, right? There's other small business out there that need a little help, or organizations, for example, like the softball league. They are not profit. They don't make any money from this league. They use the money to pay the cost of the park, to clean the parks, the bathrooms at the park. And they do a lot for the community as well. So sponsoring organizations and teams like that is very important.
So what type of things do you do for the community? I noticed you said earlier that you work on the board for the parade.
Yeah, for the CICD Puerto Rican Parade. So I recently joined last year. I was part of it indirectly, just having a table there at the parade, but at the festival, I should say. But being behind the scenes is very eye-opening. I mean, the CICD does so much for the community, and it just feels so good to do, help people, right? It's the best feeling in the world. It's better than money. It lasts longer than money.
Yeah, well, those relationships will just going to continue your business in the future.
Correct. You do meet a lot of great people along the way. There's a lot of events. You get invited to so many things that are happening in the community. And you meet a lot of great people that are also doing great things.
I can imagine. You do commercial insurance too?
We do small business.
Small business.
So our small landscaper, contractors, restaurant owners, barbershop, beauty salons.
Got it.
Yes.
So you do.
Yeah.
And investment.
Yes. And even event insurance. I had somebody call me the other day. They're hosting an event. It's going to be about 300 people. That's a one day. They usually have to have an insurance for that. I can help with that. Pet insurance.
Yeah, pet insurance. That's
yes, we have pet insurance.
What type of pets?
Cats and dogs.
Okay.
So the one that we have right now is for emergency. If your pet has to go to the vet because they choked on a toy, God forbid a car hit them, we have that. And now we are soon going to have the regular medical, if they, for vaccinations, vet visits, we're going to have that soon. It's coming.
That's interesting because people really love their pets.
Yes, they're part of the family.
Yeah,
they're our kids now.
You got pets?
Not currently.
No?
No.
You ever had pets?
I did.
Yeah,
and they do. I had a dog. Yeah.
What kind of dog?
He was a mix between Boxer and Labrador. So he was a Boxer.
I wouldn't guess that. Guess what kind of dog?
He was a big guy. He was a big guy.
Yeah? Boxer Labrador. He probably, 60, 70 pounds?
About 60 he was, yeah.
60, 70 pounds. I got a massive.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bigger the better, but they drool.
They are a great part of the family, but they can be so expensive, right? If there's an accident, if something happens, I mean, you're looking at thousands of dollars.
I had a kind of dog, was a Neapolitan Mastiff. I ordered her from Missouri, right? It cost me $2,000. It's a crazy story. Baby, great dog, right? The dog got hit in the road. I live on a major road, and the dog ran the street and got smacked like early in the morning. And it broke my heart. But that day I thought we need insurance.
Yeah.
On these dogs.
Well, sometimes it's the decision maker between being able to pay the bill or having to put a dog to sleep.
That was the difference, right?
And some people just don't have the money.
That's what it was
and
about.
have to make that choice where there could have been an alternate if they had the insurance.
Yeah, man, that's a great idea. So how does the current trend of the people carrying very low insurance limits impact their overall insurance shopping experience, especially within the Hispanic community?
That's the question, the $1 million question.
Right,
yes.
right.
So what's happening right now is, let me just go back a little bit. During COVID, people were trying to make cost-effective decisions, right? Unfortunately, people were trying to see what they can do with their insurance to make it less expensive because they were either working less hours or not working at all. And insurance is something that you must have. You have to have it by law. So the trend was that they were either putting their cars in parking or lowering their limits. But in general, some people buy low limits because it's less expensive according to what their assumption of what it means with cost, right? The state minimum is $2,550. That's $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident. But what's happening now is a lot of companies are seeing that as a irresponsible decision, right? You should have better protection. Just because the state says that you should have $2,550 doesn't mean you should. Oh. Because now when somebody goes to the emergency room because of a car accident, it's costing a lot of money because everything has gone up. So guess what? Medical cost has also gone up. So if you're not keeping up with that on your auto insurance limits, that's a lot of money that's going to come out of pocket. But what's happening with shopping experience is companies are starting to say, well, if you currently have $2,550, we are not going to quote you right now. We don't want you, because it's almost equal to not having insurance.
Really?
Yeah. So the companies that will insure you will also surcharge you for having that limit. Okay? So the best thing to do is make sure that you have either $5,100 as your minimum or higher. We usually recommend $100, $300, especially if you own a home. But if the best you can do is have $5,100, if that's the best you can do, your shopping experience is going to improve.
So when you say, I'll back up a little bit, surcharge, what do you mean by surcharge?
So let's say I quote someone that currently comes from another carrier and has $2,550, right? And let's say that price comes in at $2,500 a year. If they had $5,100 or higher, I could possibly save them $500.
Got it.
So what I do is I do a scenario to let them know. I do an override and I tell them, okay, let's say you did have $5,100. This is how much I could have saved you. So some companies are now either declining to insure the person or surcharging them for having low limits.
So where's that going to leave the consumer?
It's leaving them at making sure that they're educating themselves, that they're doing their research and having better protection. That's really where it's leaving at. People also need to take a little bit of that into their own hands, right? We all have an obligation to educate ourselves. And I think that we're in a world that there's no reason not to, because we have the internet at our fingertips now.
Right.
All you have to do is put in the search, why is it important to have better limits? What should I have for limits on my auto policy? That's all you have to type and you're going to get the answer.
I would say Google is your best friend, right?
Exactly.
I think Jay-Z said that. Google me. But yeah, people just don't think that. They don't just think, let me put it in Google and search and it'll pop up right there in your hand.
Exactly. And by the way, speaking of insurance score earlier, having better limits improves your insurance score.
Oh, it does.
So it kind of doubles up on the best shopping experience for your auto insurance.
Got it. So I got a good question, right? Because we're in a community that a lot of us don't plan for death. right? We just kind of live and pass and kind of leave everything up to whoever is responsible after we pass, right? It kind of falls on your spouse or your kids. Life insurance. Okay, so you offer life insurance at AAA. You handle that too?
Yes, we do. And I do that myself too with my clients. Some people may have life insurance through work, but something that's very important to know about that is, number one, it's very limited. It doesn't pay out a lot. And as soon as you lose your job or go somewhere else, it ceases. Life insurance from work does not follow you. I actually have a story about that. Someone retired early. He had a policy through work, and as soon as he left his job, they did something like what they do with the insurance, the health insurance in Cobra, where you can keep it but at a higher cost. Well, it went from like $70 a month that he was paying through work to like $300 a month, just because that was the only way he can keep it. So he said, why don't you quote me? I was able to. I actually, mine was like $55 a month for him. Again, he was retiring, so he was, it's age-based, of course. So the older we are, it's going to be a little bit more on life insurance. So one misconception with life insurance is that people think that because they have it through work, that it's enough. And sometimes it's only worth 1 year of your salary, which is never enough to cover your family for a mortgage, right?
Really?
It's or sometimes it's only limited depending on the company. Sometimes all you're getting is like $25,000. So you have to know what you're getting through work first of all, and remember that that's not going to follow you. And because life insurance is based on your age, the best time to buy life insurance is now, because you're never going to be younger than today. Today is the youngest you'll ever be.
So even though I always heard life insurance was hard to get. You got to go through doctor's appointments or whatever the case may be.
Some. We actually have a new product that it's a little bit easier. It's a little seamless. We also have a product that is just for our AAA members that are 50 and over. And it's a guaranteed issued policy, so it doesn't go through any of that, and it's guaranteed to be issued immediately. And for the young folks who are healthy, they don't have to go through that. But yes, there are some policies where, depending on our age and our history, we do have to go through that, because the older we get, obviously, the more risks we have. Right. So the company still has to protect themselves and be able to price that properly. Someone, for example, who has a history of diabetes, there's a difference between the person who has diabetes and is taking care of it and one that is not. So the one that is not is going to have, obviously, a higher risk. So they do consider all that.
So when you say, so when you say member, so how do you become a member of AAA?
You can come to me, or you can go to our office. Once you're a member, you get so many benefits. It's not just towing. People see AAA membership as a tow truck, and that's it.
What I was thinking.
There's discounts everywhere. When you buy tickets to lake compounds, for example, you do get discounts. When you're renting a car, hotel, travel services, there's so many discounts, but also the other hidden benefits like identity protection, having access to life insurance policies that non-members don't have. So that's something that we're able to offer.
That's great to know, right? Because when you think AAA, think roadside assistance, which, by the way, you offer roadside assistance if you want to get insurance, home insurance, and put your car on it. You have home.
And you get the discount for having the membership. So if you have auto insurance then we do combine all those discounts.
Almost kind of seems like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, it is a no-brainer. And then you get me.
And then you get you.
You get me. 21 years in the insurance industry.
And bilingual.
Yes.
So as the first Latina to open a AAA insurance, a bilingual office in CT, what inspired you to focus on providing insurance services tailored to the Hispanic community?
Well, just over the years, seeing that the community was always misinformed or just not understanding all the wording in English. I had to be that translator when I was younger. My dad used to play soccer, and I met so many people from different countries, and I was always translating for my parents, their friends, and then I found myself doing that now. Insurance contracts are still not available in other languages. They are in English. And I can't expect people to know what they didn't go to school for. I had to study and get licensed, so I have to know the product, right? I know what's there. I can't expect people to know that.
Yeah, you could tell you really know your stuff.
So, and years also under my belt here. It's just really important for me to be able to be that person in the middle, to have the person understand what's on the contract and understand what they're purchasing. I answer questions they didn't even know they had to ask.
Right.
Because I know, and I can see it sometimes in their face, they're a little confused about something. So I go right through it. And as I'm explaining a policy, I'm going through it with examples. So I pretty much go through the whole thing, almost every scenario, in a very short amount of time.
So when because I use you, so there was a question I had when I originally, because I had bought a multi-family, and you asked me, you said, are you going to live there or are you not? What's that difference? What's the difference between that and the insurance coverage?
Well, it's important because everything is a contract. So every home insurance has a different title. We have form numbers for it. So owner occupied means that we are insuring, we're able to give you a little bit of a better price because you're there all the time, right? You know what's going on in your home all the time. So it's less likely to have certain losses. It's less likely to have a claim.
You're there. Okay,
right?
That makes sense.
Exactly, yeah. If you're opening the faucet and suddenly it's not opening, water's not coming out, you know that's happening because you're there every day. You have a little more control of what's happening in your home. And also, we're able to cover your personal belongings. So we're able to add coverage for your personal items, your clothing, your furniture, everything, right? Now, if you're not living there, now it's an investment property. Now you have other people there who probably aren't taking really good care of your home, right? You're not there every day, so maybe they're not telling you something could be wrong. And when you find out, now it's a big issue, so that could be a big cost for the insurance company if it becomes a claim.
Got it.
So it is a bit of a higher risk, but also there is something to be said. It's offset a little bit by the fact that now we don't have to cover your personal things because you don't live there. So you don't have to pay for that cost. You're just paying for the higher risk. With that being said, we always encourage landlords to ask their tenants to get renter's insurance.
Right.
Because if there is a fire at your investment property,
which is a good question, yeah.
You're not responsible for their personal belongings. They are. You're not responsible for putting them in a hotel. They are. So if they don't have renter's insurance, they're left out on the street. That's not your responsibility because renter's insurance exists. However, let's say you allow them to have a dog. We were talking about dogs earlier. And now there's a visitor. And this visitor gets bitten by the dog. If they don't have renter's insurance, the fact that this dog is in your property, you can be sued.
See, this is the sauce right here.
Yeah. So the renter, if they have renter's insurance, it goes through their renter's insurance policy.
Right.
But if they don't, it goes through your home insurance policy.
Got it. So what about slip and falls with a renter's insurance?
If it's on the common area outside, it is still the landlord's responsibility under their policy. If it's inside the apartment and it had to do with maybe them not being careful, it could be under the renter's policy. So, like an area rug, for example, or maybe there's a fight in the apartment because of a party, that could be. But, there's still a gray area. The landlord can still see themselves involved in a lawsuit.
Is fire damage covered automatically under insurance policies, or is that like an endorsement?
No, fire, if your house catches on fire, whether it's your investment, the home you live in, it is automatically covered.
Automatically?
Yes.
Yeah. Water damage?
If it is due to pipes freezing, if an appliance goes wrong, then yes, the damage that the water causes is covered. However, that's where flood comes in. That's that other policy.
That's right.
If it's from external water, especially people who are in a flood zone area, they should have flood insurance. So if it's external water, it's not covered under home insurance.
We don't get that much up here, flood insurance.
No, but we are seeing floods. People who are not in a flood area still have the choice to buy that policy. If they're not in a flood area, they pay a little bit less than someone who is, but they still should consider it if they've seen over the last few years if there's been flooding.
So what would be one of the biggest tips you would give somebody looking for insurance? What should they look out for, or what should they ask?
Ask all the questions, right? Educate themselves, do a little research online to know what to ask. and know what it entails to have a policy, whether it's home, auto. Also know who you're working with. Ask them how much experience they have, and pay attention to what time they're giving you. You know, if the person is trying to get you out the door, they don't want to invest time in you. Maybe they don't want you to ask certain questions. They don't want to take the time to answer the questions. So work with someone who is experienced, who is willing to answer questions. And if they don't have the answer, that's okay too. I don't want to say that someone who's new in the industry should not be used. But that person should say, you know what, I don't have the answer to that, but I will find out and get back to you, right? I think new insurance agents should still have the same opportunity. And as long as they're willing to find that answer for you, then they're still a great agent.
And what would be the difference between an agent and a rep?
So agents, you know, we definitely have more hands-on experience. We are licensed. We have to keep up with our licensing. 1-800 numbers are just kind of there to do what you tell them to do. I need this, I need that. They're not really investing the time in you. They're expecting you to tell them what you need. Whereas an insurance agent is going to take the time to tell you, you know what, I noticed you didn't ask about this. I think you should have this or you shouldn't have this. And advise you on having the best protection, the higher limits. That's the difference between an agent and a rep.
All right, could you elaborate on the importance of practicing Spanish on a daily basis in your upbringing and how has it influenced your career as an insurance agent?
Well, my parents growing up, they didn't speak English, first of all, so I had no choice. I had to continue to speak Spanish at home. Where at that age, we might feel a little frustrated that our parents are just like, you have to speak Spanish, right? And then we got to go to school and speak English. And at the time, I was struggling with my English. I learned English at an older age, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I was in middle school when I learned English. So I wasn't. Yeah, I actually learned English in middle school. I was going to ESL classes, English as a second language.
Oh, really?
And then when I get to high school, that's no longer an option. Now I'm just kind of thrown into the wolves, English only. Right. So I was one of those students that had to take the tests at the counselor's office to make sure that they help me understand the question.
Right.
I now feel very thankful to my parents for being so strict about continuing to force me to speak, write, and read in Spanish. But with that, over the years, being in the industry that I'm in and having so many Spanish-speaking clients, I am able to switch back and forth with no problem. I can speak to you in English right now, turn around and have another conversation in Spanish, and I can toggle that with no issues.
So no Spanglish?
No, I don't even have to do that. I could just go back and forth with no issues. I may struggle a little bit with some words and remember, like I'll say, well, I know this in Spanish. What is it in English, right? Right. But that's, I'm getting better at it. I still struggle a little bit. Yeah. And I made my pronunciation might sometimes struggle. Yeah. And my kids, I think my kids enjoy it a lot. Yeah. Like, what did you just say? Can you repeat that? Yeah. And then I think it's just what makes me unique. But I think it's helped me a lot, the upbringing and my parents being so strict about speaking Spanish, that now it helps me in my career. It helps me help my customers and speak to them. But with that, there's the dialect, right? People from different countries sometimes have different words that they use. They do. And I was able to learn that. There are words that in Spanish are different in different countries, and I can tell the difference. So if a customer says a word, I know what they're talking about. So I like that.
I always hear claro everywhere I'm at. Claro. That means clear.
Claro? Claro. Yeah. That means okay.
Okay, yeah, I hear that a lot. Well, I appreciate having you. All right. This is Miss Sonia Medina, executive agent at AAA. And where can I find you again?
982 West Main Street, New Britain, Connecticut.
I highly recommend her. She's very, very sharp. She knows what she's doing. And very, very good with customer service.
Thank you.
Thank you again for having us. All right. And this is Property Perspectives. I'm JG Kemp, 5 Star Realty. You guys have a great day.